in the interest of your time, going to get started. We may have a couple people sneak in as we're going, and that's just fine. We have a fun day, fun morning planned for you. And if at any time you want refreshments, help yourself. If you have to sneak out to use the restroom, feel free. Ryan's going to have the first hour. Ryan Ogle, our president of GRARLA this year. And then we're going to take a short break. And then Gene Spinsky, who you probably all know. Ryan is the broker owner of Blue House Properties. Gene Spinsky is past president of Michigan Realtors and supervising broker for Keller Williams Rivertown. So these are probably familiar faces. Gene and I will have the last hour of your time for kind of a fun team building exercise. We promise not to make you fall blindly into somebody's arms or do anything that will embarrass you. But we're going to have some fun though. So, right?
Good. What did you tell him I was going to do?
I didn't. I left it a surprise. It's a mystery.
I could pivot quickly and change it up depending on what you said to him. Well, welcome. Thank you for a couple things. One, thank you for participating in GRARLA way back when I did my first committee at GRAR. It happened to be the one that created GRARLA. So I was never on GRARLA, but I created the committee, or I was on the committee that created GRARLA. So I'm glad to see it still flourishing. I think it's done well. And I think I know most of you. So I met a couple of you that I haven't met. Andrea, I don't know if I've met you, but nice to meet you. And I like the mix, right? Looks like we have some people who've been in the business a while, some new people, some affiliates, some small broker owners. Some of you are on teams, some of you are at bigger brokerages. So I like that. I think it's good to see a diverse mix. So I get to talk to you about whatever I want, since Pam didn't tell you anything.
That's the perk of being the president. It's for me to set your agenda.
Yeah, and what was nice is, as part of being president-elect, I got to pick who was on GRARLA. So I did pick most of you, and it was tough because we had such a big list of people who wanted to be in it, and we went through it and did it. And then we got to go through the curriculum of GRARLA and look at what worked, what didn't work. And I've talked to past GRARLA people and asked them what they liked, what they didn't like, and thought we'd mix it up. So an idea came up to do like a TEDx style thing, and Mark Brace and I were going to do it, and unfortunately he couldn't make this one today, but we met, Mark and I did, and we brainstormed it a little bit, and we talked about it, and we were going to base it around leadership and do some stuff there. So I'm going to talk to you for a little bit. I have one video I'm going to play. I don't really want to come in here and make you just sit and watch videos, but I'm going to chat for a little bit, and then I'm going to ask some questions. So I'd love for it to be interactive, so don't be those people who don't raise their hands or don't speak up or don't talk. So, and I might just walk around the room, and watch out if I'm walking. I've spilled some coffee here this week already.
New carpeting.
I spilled coffee on the new chairs last year, the first day, and then I spilled on the new carpet Monday. I should probably set this down. So, I always say this, half the battle is showing up. You guys showed up, so half the battle is won. If you show up with intention and purpose, I usually think it's game over. So listen intently, ask questions, participate. Hopefully I can drop a little bit of knowledge on you. So Mark and I were joking. I was going to read you guys the definition of leadership from the Webster Dictionary, and I was going to mess around with you a little bit and make it feel like it was going to be a boring class, but I'm not going to do that to you. So I'm actually going to start out, and I'm going to talk to you about me, which I don't usually like doing, but I'm going to tell you my story, and then I think you'll understand where it will wrap into everything. So, and I'm going to do the fast forward version of it, but I'm born and raised here, Easttown. Went through the Christian schools, Oakdale Christian, Grand Rapids Christian until 10th grade, and then I switched schools and went out to Caledonia. So pretty big culture shock growing up on Logan and Giddings, and then like, literally there was a cow farm across the street from Caledonia High School. But I like it. I had two incredible group of friends, and fast forward to today, I hunt and fish, and 2 years in Caledonia, and they got me country pretty quick. No, Mr. Speaker knows all about that.
Cheers to the cows.
Yeah. So just two different high schools, went out there. I wasn't the most well-behaved kid, so I got kicked out of my house and luckily lived with some friends my senior year in high school. But because of that, you know, everyone's trying to figure out what college to go to and sit down, and I really didn't have anyone telling me I had to go to college, so I wasn't gonna go to college, right? So I got out of high school and I started a little company called Odd Jobs, painting fences, power washing decks, just doing whatever I can, and then I had a restaurant job at night. That seemed to be a good combo, right? Find some little work to do and then have a job at night. And that went good, and then I got close with one of the cooks at Cygnus when I was working there, and he was a carpenter, so we actually formalized more of an official painting and improvements company downtown, and we painted, fixed up probably 20 to 30 of those Heritage Hill houses, and like I never thought someone would pay $100,000 for a paint job. I also never thought it sucked that bad to paint one of those houses. 7 different colors and all the detail. But it was good, we did it, right? It was fun. And then I was sitting out at Sam's Joint in Caledonia at the bar, because I like to play adult. I don't think I was old enough yet, but I was at the bar having a drink, having dinner, and I'm social, so I'm talking to the guy next to me, and he owns Smith Diamond Realty, Caledonia. We're just chatting, and he's like, hey, you should come in and chat about real estate. So I did, and the light bulb just kind of went off. Why paint homes when you could sell houses? So I got into real estate. Can't lie anymore, Pam, because you're here. I used to tell people I got into real estate when I was 20, because that's what I thought, but Julie and Pam corrected me and told me when I got my license, so it was really, I was like 21 and a half, so I've been lying for years. I've been in it a long time, I forgot when I started. But
You know, Julie and I say we started when we were 10, so.
fair enough. So I'm in my 16th year, I think, roughly, something like that. Worked at Smith Diamond for a little bit. It was all right. Had to learn a lot of stuff, do a lot on my own, small broker. Was there like 2.5 years, then I left and went to Keller Williams East, which was interesting because back then there was 15,000 people in Keller Williams nationally. That's it. Now there's what, 170,000? 70,000. So I went there for 2.5 years. I left there and went and started a real estate branch for a law firm downtown for my friend who was an attorney. They had a lot of real estate deals going. He said, hey, come start a branch, do whatever you want, just need you to take care of my clients' deals. And that was awesome because it was just a chance to figure some stuff out and be on my own and do stuff. That attorney made some bad decisions, got involved in some businesses he shouldn't have, maybe didn't pay all his loans, started to be in the news a little bit. My real estate company was named after him. And actually the only company of his that didn't fail was the real estate because I didn't put him on the bank account. So I did one thing right way back then. I just kind of knew not to put him on the bank account. So he told me I could have the company. I was like, no, thank you. It's got your name on it. So then in 2008, I started Blue House Properties. Started my own brokerage and residential. I always kind of just worked individually and realized, I wanted to have a team around me. And so I had different variations of a team and decided to hire other agents to be an extension of me. And Blue House kind of formed and we had this brokerage model. It was 2008, market was crashing. I sold my uncle a house who's from California, an investment property, and his accountant in LA was like, ooh, that looks like good numbers, I want to buy. And that guy happened to be the accountant for a lot of Hollywood money, so then we started selling houses to guys in California and stuff like that. And hey, who's going to manage these homes? So did some research, didn't really like the management companies in town, so we started a property management company. And then our construction company was born. And then one day I woke up and like, geez, I got 3 kind of legit companies. I should start a parent company. So I have a parent company that owns them. And then off of that, some other businesses have spun off. And I do some development. I've flipped houses. I've owned some buildings downtown. I've renovated. We're building a new building downtown. So I say all that. It's not a big look at me, but real estate's awesome. The real estate umbrella is so vast. There's so many different paths you can go under that real estate umbrella. And when I was 21 and a half, I didn't know what I was getting into, right? I just thought I'd help somebody buy a house, sell a house. I had no idea that there's gonna be so many different paths you could go down. And so I love real estate because of that and the way of life it's provided for my family. When I took my class, it was with Dave Geldhoff, who I don't think teaches class anymore, but he said in the new realtor class, if you're going to make a career out of this, give back and volunteer at GRARLA. And I always remembered that, and I ignored it. I didn't do anything at GRAR for like 10 years until someone nominated me, I think maybe my buddy Walter Perschbacher Jr., and I got on that committee and I did GRARLA, and it was kind of eye-opening. It was fun. I was like, oh, this is what we pay these member dues to this organization over here in Cascade, and they actually do stuff. So I kind of got involved, and then fast forward, someone gave me the nod to be a director, and you know, same thing. I didn't have a big desire to do too much more, but I said, all right, if I get it, I get it, whatever, and got on the board. And that was super eye-opening. I kind of was in my little bubble. I know how to make money in Grand Rapids in real estate, but I didn't realize what went on in real estate, like on the bigger picture. So getting into GRAR and seeing all the behind the scenes and what they do, and probably the best part for me has just been, we get a little bit of knowledge about some of the complaints and cases and ethics stuff that go on here, and always just blows my mind what realtors think they can get away with. I just learned a lot from that because I didn't run a business like that and didn't realize other people were doing that stuff. But so getting on the board was just fun, eye-opening, seeing what was happening, and then we travel. One of the neat things here is when you are a board member, you get to usually go to one national conference. So then I go to a conference, and I'm, you know, I think Dale Stuckey was with me when my first one. He said I was a kid in a candy store, but I was just like, whoa, these are all realtors. This is like, you know, I've always run my own thing, so I haven't interacted with a lot of other brokers and realtors. But then my eyes really started to open. Geez, this is what real estate's all about, and started to learn all the different avenues and the bigger picture and what do realtors do in other countries and other states. And so just really eye-opening. And a lot of that came from volunteering, being part of GRAR, giving back. So I've learned a lot of stuff over the years with doing that. I mean, Pam, I always say what? Success leaves clues.
I love that.
Right?
Yep.
So always was looking at what other agents are doing, meeting agents in other areas. I think it's completely fine to mimic some of the good stuff that people are doing, and also see what people are doing incorrectly and learn from that, right? I don't think you need to be someone who messes up yourself or gets in trouble yourself to finally learn a lesson. Learn a lesson from someone else screwing up so that you don't have to. So I mean, that's the fast forward version of it. There's a lot more in there. Living life has kind of just been my motto. If someone asked me how do you get your leads and how do you do your business, just live life. I would go out and participate in different things. If someone invited me to do something, or if there was an event, I'd go to it, right? I'd volunteer at church, I'd volunteer at school, I'd sit on a charity board. I used to play basketball at MVP 3 times a week at lunch, and if you can play basketball at lunch, you're either broke and don't have a job, or you're a business owner, right? And you could quickly figure out who was who. So I started networking with some really successful people who played basketball at lunch, and I got a ton of business just from that, right? And you know, my wife always thinks I wake up and don't have like a real job, because she said, what, you're going golfing, you're going to lunch, you're playing basketball? I'm like, yeah, I'm working. You know, I'm meeting people. and that's true, right? And Lacey, what's real estate? What kind of sport is it?
Contact sport.
It's a contact sport, right? Real estate's a contact sport. The more conversations you're having, the more you're out there. This was my attempt to try to videotape a piece of this, but as we all know, our phones just won't stop ringing, so we'll set this over here. It's a contact sport. You got to have conversations about real estate. You got to get out and meet people. You got to live life. Not just people who aren't in real estate, though, too. Some of my best friends, I mean, Mark Brace and I are really good friends, and it was fun to get together and talk about this. And we really didn't do much, honestly, to plan this. We ended up just chatting about life and struggles in real estate and different things, but it was good to connect, you know. So networking with your peers, being involved at GRAR will lead to opportunities. The vision statement for my companies is and always has been relationships, opportunities, and wealth. And those 3 things can go in a circle with arrows pointing in either direction. They all lead to each other. But you got to get out there and meet people. You got to create relationships. You got to do that stuff. Getting involved with your peers is a good thing. It could lead to future opportunities. And I think we all know, if you have most of us won't admit it, but I will. If you have a listing and you have a lot of offers on it, and you don't know half the agents, but there's a couple on there you do know, and you know they're trustworthy or that they're not pulling your leg, you're probably gonna be a little bit, geared towards working with them if it's the right offer for your client. So it's great when you know other agents and you can know who's good and who's not, and develop that type of stuff. So I just encourage you to do that. So that's a little just bit about me and my story, and I mention it really just to say, hey, There's a lot you can do in this business. I think a lot of people sometimes don't fully take advantage of what's available to you with just a residential real estate license. There's a lot that's available to you, and it's a big job, and most of you are pretty successful and been in it, so I think you get it. But real estate's an important thing. We all know it's usually the largest financial transaction someone does in their life. You're helping them with it. That's important, right? Emotions, memories, someone dies, it's an estate sale, someone gets divorced, it's a sale. I mean, I've played counselor more times than I've played realtor in situations. So this is an important profession. And I'm passionate about it because it's provided a heck of a way of life for myself and my family. But what sucks is the public kind of just views us as an expense in the way of them getting a home. And we know we're so much more than that, right? I think a lot of people would say they maybe don't like attorneys, but they think attorneys are competent. And that's because they go to a lot of schooling. They don't like us and they think we're not competent. Like, that's not okay. So we got to change that around. And a lot of that starts with leadership. GRARLA was formed. How are we going to find our next wave of leaders for this business? Who's going to step up and who's going to be professional and who's going to help change this view that's out there? Because we all represent each other. If Rustin goes out to a listing and doesn't act good or doesn't do a good job, he just represented the same brand and profession that I represent. Even though we don't work together in different brokerages, he just represented who a realtor is and how they act. And that person now might have a bad taste in their mouth, and then I meet him, oh, you're a realtor, right? Or other way around. Rustin goes out and does an incredible job, is very professional. People are like, wow, my last realtor didn't do any of this. This is quite the, he now just made it that much easier for me when I meet someone, or if those people talk about a good experience they had. So friendly competitors, right? That's what we have to be. We all work together, but on that type of stuff, and we all work separately, but together on that type of stuff, if we're kind of following the same code, the same thing, we're gonna get some good stuff done. So any leaders in this room? Anyone consider themselves leader? Rustin? Handful? Okay, good. Just wanted to see, take a count on that. This is the part that I'm gonna fumble because I have to try to turn on the TV and play a video for it.
Do you have the clicker?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll figure it out, I think, now that Rick was down here. I'm gonna play one video and then we're gonna talk about it. If you look at my little YouTube thing here, I have a whole bunch of leadership videos. I'm gonna play this and try to watch it. I don't have the paid version, so we'll see if we can skip an ad. All right, just try to watch it, listen to a few things, and we're gonna talk about it. Loud enough back there? Yes. Thank you.
Who turned it off?
A nonprofit called Robin Hood. When I'm not fighting poverty, I'm fighting fires. It's the assistant captain of a volunteer fire company. Now, in our town, where the volunteers supplement a highly skilled career staff, you have to get to the fire scene pretty early to get in on any action. I remember my first fire. I was the second volunteer on the scene, so there was a pretty good chance I was going to get in. But still, it was a real foot race against the other volunteers to get to the captain in charge to find out what our assignments would be. When I found the captain, he was having a very engaging conversation with the homeowner, who was surely having one of the worst days of her life. Here it was, the middle of the night. She was standing outside in the pouring rain, under an umbrella, in her pajamas, barefoot, while her house was in flames. The other volunteer who had arrived just before me, let's call him Lex Luthor, got to the captain first and was asked to go inside and save the homeowner's dog. The dog! Oh, I was stunned with jealousy. Here was some lawyer or money manager who for the rest of his life gets to tell people that he went into a burning building to save a living creature. Just because he beat me by 5 seconds. Well, I was next. The captain waved me over, said, Bezos, I need you to go into the house. I need you to go upstairs, past the fire, and I need you to get this woman a pair of shoes. I swear. So, Not exactly what I was hoping for, but off I went. Up the stairs, down the hall, past the real firefighters who were pretty much done putting out the fire at this point, into the master bedroom to get a pair of shoes. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I'm no hero. I carried my payload back downstairs where I met my nemesis and the precious dog by the front door. We took our treasures outside to the homeowner where, not surprisingly, his received much more attention than did mine. A few weeks later, the department received a letter from the homeowner thanking us for the valiant effort displayed in saving her home. The act of kindness she noted above all others, someone had even gotten her a pair of shoes. You know, in both my vocation at Robin Hood and my avocation as a volunteer firefighter, I am witness to acts of generosity and kindness on a monumental scale. But I'm also witness to acts of grace and courage on an individual basis. And you know what I've learned? They all matter. So as I look around this room at people who either have achieved or are on their way to achieving remarkable levels of success, I would offer this reminder: don't wait. Don't wait until you make your first million to make a difference in somebody's life. If you have something to give it now. Serve food at a soup kitchen, clean up a neighborhood park, be a mentor. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save somebody's life, but every day offers us an opportunity to affect one. So get in the game. Save the shoes. Thank you.
So I'm going to circle back to that, let it just maybe resonate a little bit. And I'll tell you why I picked that one. This is where we get a little interactive and where I will try to write clearly enough that you guys can read it and understand it. I would like to know who you guys think some leaders are. And you can go as far back as in history as you want, celebrities, public figures, anything's off limits. Who's a leader in your life? Just give me some names, some people, some occupations. Let me try to find a fresh marker. There we go. No leaders? You guys know any leaders? I'll start calling on people.
Ryan Ogle.
I'll sing it out.
What? Brownie points there.
No, I'm not putting my name on there. GRARLA president. Good one.
George Washington.
So we'll put a country leader there, I guess. George. Others?
Parents.
Good one.
Pastors.
Pastors.
Authors,
Authors.
coaches,
Coaches.
School
teachers,
Bingo.
grandparents,
Mentors.
our military,
Yeah. I'm gonna classify grandparents just as relatives. Any others? How about names? Who, like specific people? So we said George Washington.
Jesus,
She threw out the big one.
Jesus,
Jesus.
Martin Luther King.
MLK.
Billy Graham.
Billy Graham. I spell Graham. Whatever, good enough. It's fair. Other?
Gandhi,
Gandhi.
On the author side, Malcolm Gladwell.
Mother Teresa,
I love Ronald
anything?
Reagan. I'll throw him out there.
Who?
I love Ronald Reagan.
Okay. Thought you were gonna say Kid Rock or something.
Yes.
And Kenny
Bob
Just because I know you'd go wherever he led you. So.
So he's a leader, there you go.
Anything on a more personal level, specifically?
For relatives, my grandpa, so John Ogle. We didn't see John.
It's not specific, but musicians too. I mean, like you said, Kid Rock.
Yeah, for sure. I for sure, especially for me, which lived a different life, and I'm happy for the life that I lived, but with the home that I grew up in and some of the lack of parenting I got, and then family being split apart, I remember a Sunday school teacher who did some amazing stuff for me. I remember a high school basketball coach who did some amazing stuff for me. So those are the type of names that are popping up in my head. So what makes these people good leaders? What are some of the qualities? What are some of the traits of a good leader?
Inspiring.
Engaging.
Integrity.
Positive influence. Their experiences.
Putting
Um,
others before them.
Okay.
Selflessness.
Yeah.
Focus. Humble.
It's a giving, like of time, sometimes even of money.
Yeah, and someone's selfless.
Wisdom.
Their history, their experiences, wisdom. Good. Any other traits that make up a good leader?
Challenging, I like someone that challenges you, puts the goal and makes you get it however you want it, goal driven, however you want to word it.
Accountability.
Constant learner.
Most important part about leadership is growing other leaders.
Collaborate.
What was before you said growing other leaders? Someone said something?
Constantly learning.
Yeah. And don't worry, I can read this, so if we recap it, I'll be able to read it back to you. What are not good? Let's throw some bad on here.
Greed.
Where's, we probably could just leave that one.
Pride.
There.
Self-serving.
What else?
Inconsistent.
Can't control their emotions.
I'm gonna put crooked, but, some people just really don't care about the law, right? So that's definitely not a good leader. Gene, you got a bad trait?
Bad trait. Making it all about yourself. And that selfish, you got up there, but it's really, there are people that are leaders that try to ensure that they end up being the star of everything that they're involved in.
Like ego.
Some people will
Very
only
ego-
lead
ego-centered.
people who are like beneath them. They don't want anyone in the room who's as good as them or better than them. And I think that's a bad trait. Good ones. Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you for examples of bad leaders, not with the current state of our country. Don't need to get into that. Don't need to get into that. What's the opposite of leadership?
Follower.
Yeah, you got it.
That's what leaders follow.
So,
Someone who's weak.
You can be a good follower, though.
Yeah.
Can be a
That's-
good
that's-
follower.
that's-
That's what I was thinking
Follower's
too.
not a bad thing. I think
Yeah.
Somebody that's just
Good and
aimless,
bad.
somebody that just has no direction whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's a.
They're just floating through life.
Lemming,
So-
I don't know the word, you know, a lemming, so they just go with the flow without thinking, I don't know.
Lack of following through.
Lazy, no drive, right? No motivation. Leaders know what they're waking up for, don't they?
Yeah.
Motivation. It's a good list. I didn't put anything down on my own there because I wanted to see what you guys put on there. So, you know, when Mark and I we watched actually quite a few TEDx videos and different leaders, and it's funny, even when you Google and try to look up the definition of leadership, and just for fun, I always was, well, what's the Latin or Greek meaning, and you dig into all that. But most of the stuff out there is mentioning that leaders are leading a big group of people, or they're heroes, or when you know, if you were to look up who leaders are, it's big names, which you guys have some big names on there as well, but it seems to overlook like the smaller people. That's why when I saw the firefighter video, that one really hit me. Like totally, that dude's a leader, right? And I mean, what did you guys take from that? Anything he said that popped out, that stuck out in your mind, or?
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Big one.
What do you think?
Even the small stuff's important.
Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say,
what you
yeah.
think significant might be significant to others.
Right. And he, you know, he admitted he kind of wanted to do it to get a little bit of the recognition and glory, but then ended up just doing the job that, you know, running to get the shoes. Nate, were you gonna say something? Or so, Steve.
I knew you were
I
gonna
knew
do
it.
that. That's all right. I'll I'll
His
take.
brother was vice principal.
Yep.
He probably has stories on me, so
Yeah,
don't
he
talk
does,
to him.
so I.
Don't talk to him about me.
I was gonna say, as I get older, silent leaders, like leaders that just do what they're gonna do, lead by example. I really respect more than when I was in my 20s and I was looking for someone to, you know, be more brash, be just more vocal. I think the definition of leadership for me has changed definitely in the last 10 years of my life.
I like that. That is one, silent was one of the traits I wrote down when I was thinking. Good stuff. So, let's narrow it down to our careers, which is real estate. How can you guys lead in your current roles, or your job just as a realtor or a loan officer or a marketing manager? I'm trying to see who all's in the room. What are some ways we have to lead in our job?
Have integrity.
So, yeah, let's go more with actual things you do. So we have to have all of these. We're gonna assume we have all of these. You gotta lead the client in a transaction, right?
Advise. Decision-making process.
Educate.
Diversify.
Lead client, so you have to educate. What was the first one someone said? Yeah,
Said advise.
yep, in the decision-making process.
Listen.
Mentor others.
Other agents, other professionals?
Yeah, I was just.
Oh.
Is that what you meant by mentor?
Newer agents.
Yeah. So we'll put peers. Deal falls apart, you gotta hold everyone's crap together, right? So counselor, should probably for sure put that in there. What else? What else do you have to do to be a leader, or just in your job?
Diversify.
Oh yeah,
Good
you said
leaders.
that, sorry.
Communicate.
Great communication. What's the number one complaint the public says about their agent?
Don't communicate.
Don't communicate, right? I mean, I got to the point once where I had, 60 deals going at once, and it was tough. And I would get annoyed, honestly, if someone called me like, "There's no flyers in front of my house." I don't care. I've got so much crap going on, I can't keep it straight. I never did that. I was getting close. I was gonna quit because like I'm gonna probably tell someone off, and then I switch careers. The most important thing going on in their life is that one deal. It doesn't matter that you have that many deals going on. So you gotta communicate with them, even if you have nothing to tell them. Even if it's a phone call, "Hey, nothing happened this week, obviously, because we had no showings, but stay excited, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and switch up our marketing a little bit," and you just gotta communicate, so that's a big one.
Appearance and
Appearance,
reacting professionally.
you gotta be professional. Especially if you want them to take us seriously, right? I go back and forth. I've been in it long enough, and Lacey, don't comment. I think I could sell a house in my gym clothes if I wanted to. But do you want people to, think that you're taking this serious and it is the biggest financial transaction? And I loved when I brought Mike Ferry here, he actually made two people in the crowd stand up. One of them had a nice suit on and one of them didn't. And the story was, hey, this guy's a 15-year seasoned agent. He was golfing, but he has a listing appointment at 7 and he was running late from the course, so he just went right to the house. The very well-dressed agent was a brand new agent who had a listing appointment at 8, but he's a new agent. He doesn't know what he's doing, so he showed up at 7. So they both rang the doorbell. Who did the client think was the real estate agent? Right? So sometimes the way we take this and the way we put off what we're doing. Do you have to wear a suit and tie today? No, but I mean, you get the point of it. We got to act professionally if we want the public to take us seriously, treat us professional. These are all really, really good ones. I mean, I think a big one is you gotta. I'm just gonna put maintain composure. Too many times, especially when there is a newer agent and the deal's falling apart, you can tell they're freaking out. I've been in this a long 16 years, so Gene, what's the game? You just hope more deals go through than fall through each year, right? Because deals are going to fall through. But it always comes back together. You'll get a different offer on the house. You'll end up selling the home. You'll help the buyer find a different house. So you can't just lose your crap when the first deal starts, when you get a little bit of adversity in it. So you got to maintain.
I think that's one of the most important things in real estate is your composure.
Yeah.
And how you handle things and how you take care of things. And
Yeah.
how you maintain calm in a sea of storm.
So we just talked a little bit about how you lead in your job, like with clients and that stuff, but are there other areas in your life you lead? Are there other people you're leading?
Families?
You're leading families.
Families, church.
So families, I'm gonna put sometimes spouse, sometimes kids, right? Some church, yep, sometimes you are the youth group leader or the Sunday school teacher. What other ones? Anyone coach any sports on the side? So sometimes you're the coach.
Nonprofit.
I think a big one here actually too is, even if you're not the coach, sometimes you're the one on the team who needs to be leading, or is the one being the charities for sure, and you do a good job with that. Austin, good one. What else? Any other? So, well, earlier, peers, coworkers, right? I'll I'll put peers, and let's have that be more just on a professional level, because I think in your networking groups or even with other agents, but then also within your own actual office or team, you can be leading coworkers. Any others?
You lead by being a good neighbor.
Yeah. So that's that whole list of Steve, not Nate, silent leadership, right? Being a good neighbor, being a good example, where you aren't really leading someone, but hopefully just you're being who you are and your examples maybe setting a level of leadership out there.
Assistants or people under you on your team?
Big time. If you lose your crap when a deal falls apart, what's your assistant gonna do? Well, hopefully you hired the right one who's not like you. With a different disc profile, right?
Right.
Good list. So what I'm doing is we're just discussing leadership. I'm not going to tell you guys who a leader is, who a good leader is, who a bad leader is. This is just supposed to be thought-provoking, and we're coming up with a list together. Each of you can draw something from it. Some of you probably have half of these conquered, and some of the areas are probably weak for you, right? So I am going to do a quick slideshow, and then we're going to talk about all of this really quickly, recap it, what we learned from it, what we're doing, and why. I recently climbed a mountain. Some of you might, I'm not looking for a... If you hear my story, I'm not sure if I should give...
Baldy and Saunders.
I did do that.
286 steps.
Previously, that was my only mountain on my resume. So a couple weeks ago, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. Let's see if we can get this.
And here we thought you were gonna say a big mountain.
So I like adventure. I said earlier, I live life. If an opportunity comes up, I just do it. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes I get in trouble because I just make impulsive decisions. It was Thanksgiving. My stepdad has actually climbed, I don't even know, 20, 30 mountains in the world, like everything except Everest and Kilimanjaro. Pretty experienced. Older now though, 65-ish. It was Thanksgiving. He's like, hey, I haven't climbed Kilimanjaro. I was like, I'll go. But I didn't even ask about it or where it was or anything. And then he was like, all right, yeah, maybe in January. I thought we were thinking January 2019. And he was like, no, let's go like in January. I'm like, in like 90 days? January? I asked my wife and she said yes. I don't know if she meant it, but I just heard yes. And then I quit calling and was like, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's go. I looked at the calendar. I have a busy year this year with just work and being GRARLA president, but we had like nothing in January besides the gala downtown. I made sure actually the dates were good. That was my send-off. So I had one big party in case I didn't come back. So I did a little bit of training. I walked. So actually he said he had a few guys, and actually 4 guys from Grand Rapids went, him being one of them. They're all 65-ish. They've all climbed tons of mountains. They've done Ironmans. They've like my stepdad's crazy guy. He's done 100-mile mountain races and 50-mile races, right? Who wants to go run for 24 hours? I don't really get that piece. But 2 of the guys in the group have both done an Ironman before. And then I texted like 25 random guys, and my phone's like, hey, anyone want to climb Kilimanjaro with me in January? Most of them thought I was kidding. A lot of them got in trouble with their wives because they asked their wives, like, hey, can I go climb Kilimanjaro with Ryan in January? And Corey, my office manager, actually said, hey, I'll go. I was like, really? I was kind of surprised, just didn't think that of him. It was pretty funny. He said he asked his wife, and she laughed at him, and then she cried. And then she said, you won't even walk around the block with me. But then she let him go. So Corey and I live like a mile from each other, so we'd meet at a half-mile point, and we'd walk like 4 or 5 miles every night throughout like kind of Christmas and leading up to it. So we did a little bit of training, did a little bit of research on it. So I went and did it. I'm going to show my hotel because it was nice and it was beautiful, and then it gets kind of rough after your 2 nights at the hotel and you head out to the mountain. So I like to look at this picture and remember the good part. I took a walk. Our hotel is gated and security, and you know, I would just walk out and go down the dirt road for like 2 miles in the morning, and I wanted to see Africa, right? I'm gonna go out and see it, and so I was walking towards a school. So all these school children were coming by and giving me high fives and smiling, and these kids were just super like excited and always smiling. Awesome, right? So it was really cool to see that. And they're children, they should be smiling, they should have fun. They don't know what adulthood's going to be for them in Tanzania though.
Right.
Further down the road, came across this 80-year-old guy with a big pickaxe, working his butt off in the road. Just kind of hard-working dude, right? Don't walk around and see many 80-year-olds around here working like that. That was a good picture. This is just so I have an appreciation of food in America. This is just a typical butcher shop, and I'm not going to show you the close-up with the flies and all that stuff. The mountain, beautiful. We go through like 5 different ecological zones. Day 1's in the jungle, so I caught the sunset. This was at day 1 camp. Awesome, beautiful, climbing the mountain. Everything's great, super excited. Camp 1, so yeah, really thick jungle. Then you kind of get into more like, if anyone's been to Seattle or the Pacific Northwest, kind of looks like that. And then you get into some different things. Lots of up and downs and trails, and the mountain is just massive. I didn't understand how big it was, and that's part of the allure of it, is it's this freestanding mountain, and I forget how many miles it is around, but like, I mean, at points when I'm on the top looking down, I feel like, you know, it's when you go up a big hill driving to Florida, like you can see the whole Rocky Mountains. Like, this thing never ended. It just kept going and going. And you go up a hill like, oh man, this will be a long hill. We'll probably get to the camp at the top. No. Then you go down a hill and up another hill, down a hill, another hill. The first camp was funny though, because there was monkeys, and that's the only wildlife we saw, which is crazy because the Serengeti's at the plains of this, which is some of the best safari and hunting and all that stuff goes on there, and there's all kinds of animals. So there just isn't anything on the mountain, and part of that is after like day 1.5, the altitude, nothing lives. There's no bugs. There's only crazy humans go up into the but no, there's monkeys, and I thought they were kind of cool, and then like a huge one ran by. I mean, I think it was a baboon. I don't think it was a monkey. And then I was like getting close to him to take a photo of it, and this lady screamed. The monkey totally went up and stole her food when she turned around. So like they were at these camps because they know like what they can get, and interesting. And then at our dinner, our guy was like, hey, we're gonna have guys posted tonight so you guys will be safe. And if, I was like, oh, from the monkeys, like stealing our stuff? But actually he was like, no, you know, Camp 1 is close enough that villagers will come up here and steal stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, starting to get to, this isn't the crap you read about when you're doing your research on going to Kilimanjaro. Pretty beautiful though. You go through Alpine Desert and just all these different ecosystems. A lot of people climb this mountain, like 35,000 people a year climb this mountain. 60% make it to the top, 40% don't. Not many people die. I did read like a handful die, 7-10 people a year or something. And actually the sad part is that's mainly porters, the Africans who maybe had malaria or something already, and then it just set in on the mountain. Like it wasn't the mountain that killed them. But there was way more people than I thought there'd be, and there'd be 150 tents in our camp, right? I went with a group of 8. For our group of 8, so I went with 6, 5 guys from Grand Rapids and me, and they added 2 ladies from Canada, which I'll talk about. 2 70-year-old ladies from Canada who are amazing. We're in a group, so 8 of us, and we had about 35 porters and 6 to 8 guides. You have that many people, which I didn't really understand that, but to carry the tents, the water, the food, all the stuff, you need that many people. Like you could never carry enough stuff on your own to climb a mountain. You know, I think this might have been camp 2 or 3, you start to be able to see the mountain. The first 2 days you don't even see it, but just absolutely beautiful. God's creation's amazing. Really cool when you're up camping like in the clouds. Then you get into some, you know, moonscape type of stuff where it's just like, you know, haven't been to the moon or Mars, but you think, geez, that's what it kind of looks like because you haven't seen anything like it before. Getting closer, higher to the mountain, going around it. really neat though. I just threw that in because there's actually some really cool stuff there. This is a plant that only grows on Kilimanjaro, and it's like cotton. You can make clothes out of it. It's kind of neat. The sad thing is Tanzania is very poor and corrupt, and they actually have an incredible amount of natural resources. They just don't have it together and the infrastructure to do it, so other countries come in and totally take advantage of them. China comes in and mines all their stuff and takes it for cheap, or a couple of the top leaders are getting paid pretty well. Here's some porters. So the porter thing hit me really, really hard. If we wake up and work hard here, you usually can get something for it, right? You can get ahead. You get more if you work harder. There, you work hard, you don't get anything. You just have to work hard to try to survive. These guys are getting like 10 bucks a day, I found out. So now I'm feeling actually pretty guilty being on this trip. You know, and I paid for it, I'm a customer, but just who I am, like, and these guys every day are smiling and so nice, and they're wearing hand-me-down clothes. One guy walked by me with a Kentwood Community Church t-shirt on. So the stuff we donate here, that's where it goes, I guess, right? And then the funny one is a lot of them have on, you know, if they thought New England would win the Super Bowl, so they have t-shirts ready. But then the other team wins, they ship those t-shirts off to another country. So that you don't see them around here. I'd be like, wait a second, they didn't win the Super Bowl that year. Like a guy would walk by and have a shirt on. Hard-working guys. I mean, I've never seen people work so hard. I walk out of my tent, $1,000 of North Face gear, and I'm not going to get cold. And this dude's in jeans, and his toes are popping out of boots that don't fit him, that he probably found on the mountain, and he has to carry a 32-pound pack on his neck. And they're just hopping by us, right? Jumping rocks and going up the mountain like it's no big deal. I'm sitting there struggling. Just amazing. But really struck me on it. And, you know, I got to know my guides a little bit, and I chat with them, and most of them were pretty young, mid-20s, but were married with kids, and they were all working hard to try to put their kids in school so their kids didn't have to get a job on the mountain. That was a common theme that I got from them. And I took this photo because, so you just walk 8 miles with a 32-pound pack on your neck, and you get to the top, and your reward is set the pack down and get a 5-gallon jug and go back down to that creek and get water and bring it back up. Just crazy. Beautiful, still, you know, seeing it. We did a full moon summit, so every night was really cool. The mountain would pop out. That's actually a pretty big mountain in the background. And it just shows you how big Everest is, because that thing looked really small. Some of the coolest photos, and I have thousands of photos, you could almost see like that atmospheric line. You could kind of see the curvature of the earth. You're so high, it was just a little trippy to be up there and see that. Porters, people hiking, moonscape. So I left my group, quite a bit I'd leave my group, because you have to walk, you just walk really slow. And I have long legs, so when I knew we were like 2 hours out from camp, I'd just leave them. And I usually, you can see the trail, so many people climb it. So I left my group on the way to Summit, base camp, and I was walking by myself, day 5, pretty tired, in this moonscape. It's fog, but it's really, you're just in the clouds, and I can see maybe here to the door, and I'm walking, and out of the cloud comes 10 porters, and 5 on each side, and they're carrying a guy in a sleeping bag. And they walk like right next to me. And I look at him, and obviously this guy's not doing good. I said a prayer for him out loud. Chinese guy, you can see his face in my head, has foam on his mouth. Didn't look like he was alive to me, wasn't sure. So that hit me really hard. So I sat down for a minute and was like, what's up? What's in the clouds? What's up at the top? Do I want to keep going? I got a wife and kids. Why am I doing this? I'm whipped. I'm by myself. It's kind of just eerie. I did find out when I got up there, I got one of the guides to tell me, because they don't want to, but the guy died. He had a heart attack at the top. Altitude could have been part of it. And it's like, wow, 7-10 people out of 35,000 die, and then they walked one by me. I was by myself. So it just hit me. Life's precious. You're not promised tomorrow. But that hit me pretty hard. Another porter is walking with me. Pretty cool at the top when you're in those clouds when they come in. It's just, they come in like a sandstorm, just ground to whatever. And like, I had a video of it. I mean, it comes in so quick, and all of a sudden you can't even see like your tent, which is right in front of you. and I didn't have a beard because I still can't grow one. Corey had a big beard, though, and his beard would be like sopping wet just from being in the clouds. It was a little weird. So summit day. So you walk like 8 miles, you get to base camp. I just saw a dead dude, I'm whipped. You get 3 hours to take a nap. They wake you up, give you some tea and cookies. It's midnight, and then they're like, let's go. And you, at midnight, take off to go up to the top. And base camp was like 15,500 feet. And basically pick a sand dune if you've ever been to a sand dune and just walk up it for 8 hours. That's what summit was. And you gain 4,000 feet, and so as you keep going, the air gets thinner and thinner and you can't breathe. It was really hard. Probably one of the harder things I've done in life. And I don't have any mountains to judge it by, but the guys who were with me said they'd take a 50-mile, 100-mile trail race any day over doing summit day. They said it was one of the hardest ones they've done. Beautiful though, because the reason you go at night, well, 2 reasons. One, they don't tell you, but I figured out, if you went during the day, you wouldn't do it, you quit. Like, it just doesn't stop. You just keep going and you don't see any. So I think you do it when it's dark out. So mentally, like, you keep going. You just have to go a couple steps in front of you. And also a little better chance of weather. And then when you get to the top, the sun's rising. So just absolutely beautiful. Corey woke up, got all dressed, comes out of his tent and starts puking. Had altitude sickness. But we tested his blood and he had proper oxygen levels, so I convinced him to go. So I let the rest of the group go, and I stayed behind, and I basically just yelled at Corey for 8 hours, like motivational things, everything I could think of, and we got him to the top, and it was awesome. And you get to the top, and it's just emotions overcome you because you're whipped, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So the top's incredible. It's hard to capture. It's so massive, and it's like a cauldron up there where the volcano had erupted and then collapsed, but just super beautiful glaciers up there. This was our group. These 2 ladies, I mean, I have a deal right now with Corey. If I ever complain, he texts me a picture of those 2 ladies. Like 70 years old from Canada. They did the entire thing, never complained once. Just amazing. Awesome. That's the whole thing you want to get to, is the very high point and get the sign, right? But just absolutely beautiful up there. And then coming down, you take a different route, you take a shorter route. And I left my group again because I like to just go by myself. Part of it too is the quicker I got to camp, I got to sleep longer. So I would just kind of take off. And I come across these like stretchers laying in this moonscape again. And then these things, there's tons of them. You can like lay a guy in it, it's got big wheels, and you can run him down the mountain. So that was like, started thinking about the dead guy again. I was like, oh geez, they don't tell you any of this stuff when you're doing your research, you know? Pretty impactful, it'll hit me. The other piece they don't tell you too, this is nasty, but there's just like crap and puke everywhere. There's some, you know, and when you get to a camp, there's a restroom, but a restroom there is just a hole running around and you got a squat, so people just go on the trail, and it was nasty. It was, maybe that's why you go in the dark too, so what you're walking in. But I was a little upset with the dirtiness because the safari, the Serengeti, and the mountain are the 2 biggest money makers, you know, for Tanzania, and they don't take care of it. But if you can't take care of yourself or don't have resources for yourself, why would you take care of that, right? Just kind of, I mean, last night, incredibly beautiful, like camping above the clouds. It was just so picturesque. It's hard to capture the pictures. And then you get to the end, and that's the end camp. That last night, I woke up and puked. And had a really rough 10-mile walk down the mountain, and had to stop and use the bathroom multiple times. And then I was like, had a horrible 45-minute van ride on a mountain road that like had potholes that could swallow the van. So that's shaking me up, right? Get to the hotel, I have to run to the bathroom. Try to just like, this will go away. So I stay in my hotel for 24 hours. Bad, right? Coming out of both ends, 24 hours, I'm not gonna go to the hospital though, because I'm not gonna get stuck in Africa and miss my flight. I've heard stories about this. This is how movies start. I was so weak though at one point. I hadn't eaten in like 3 days. I couldn't keep anything on. I couldn't even keep water down. So like 5 hours to go, I'm gonna go to the hospital. And I had lost 30 pounds. half of it was probably legitimate from the mountain, because you're burning 10,000, but I hadn't kept anything down. I was so weak. So I got 2 IVs at the hospital, got some fluid in me, got an anti-nausea. It was awesome. That like felt better. Got rushed to the airport, 33 hours of traveling. Felt great, was eating and drinking on the plane. Everything was good. Landed in Chicago, ran right to the bathroom. Just all started up again. Really rough exit for me from Tanzania. I put this on here because I'm kind of not a nice person. I texted this to my wife. That's all I texted her was that picture. When I was in the hospital. She freaked out. No, so amazing trip. And the reason I'm talking about it, I went because I needed to like find myself a little bit. I've been doing this 16 years. I've found some success. It's fun. I like it, but sometimes you get bored or you forget why you're doing it or what motivates you. So it's like, I want an epic trip. I want an adventure. I like outdoor stuff. That's why I just say yes. Also, I just don't say no to opportunities. So I didn't know what I was going to go there, and I don't know what I was going to figure out. I thought I'd come back just like super inspired and a new business plan and all this stuff. You're so freaking tired that you don't have time to think about anything. I brought books, right? I didn't read any books. You just, all you want to do is sleep. When you walk 8-9 hours a day and do a marathon every day, you just want to sleep. That's what you want to do. But on the way down, my guide, our head guide's name was Emmanuel, and I didn't realize this. They had brought like 8 guides up for the 8 of us to the top, because one guide will walk each of you down. Because a lot of people get sick and it's rough up there and you need help. Going down too, by the way, sucks. I would take an uphill any day. My toes are still black and blue, like your knees, and you're just jamming trying to go down. So go 8 hours up right after you just walked 8 miles and slept 3 hours, and then you gotta go back down. So my guide walked with me and he stopped me and it struck me big time. He's like, Ryan, you're a good commander. And it was just his terms, like they use that word. But he's saying you're a good leader. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you stayed behind with Corey. You didn't let him fail, and you encouraged him. I listened to what you said to him, and he's like, how do you know these other people? I'm like, well, I don't. That's my stepdad, the other people I just met. He's like, well, why did you encourage all them? And every time we passed a group, you're always saying stuff to them. I didn't even realize, I wasn't doing that on purpose, but it was a huge refresher for me, because here sometimes you get caught up with the stress and the stuff not going right and the deal's not going right. I forget some of the natural God-given talents and abilities that I have. So I had to go to Africa and climb a mountain and test myself and have a random guy remind me that I'm an encourager. And that's a gift that God's given me, and that motivating people is a good thing. And that was the biggest thing I got out of it. So I'm talking about it now because I didn't talk about Africa when I got back. I didn't even want to think about it or see the mountain. I had a really bad taste in my mouth, literally. So I finally have kind of processed it, and things keep coming to me as I go over it. I think it'll probably be something I'll process for a couple of years. So I know I'm a little over on time, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But things I learned there: if you were born in America, you won the lotto. Hard work does not pay off there, and it does here, so you should appreciate it. Those porters, that hit me really hard. The creation, beautiful, all of that. You should get out and enjoy stuff because it's inspiring. Get out on top of a mountain and see the atmospheric line and get some inspiration from it. Value your life. You're not promised tomorrow. Don't leave anyone behind. Corey's my office manager. I went on that trip with him. I didn't want to come back and tell a story where I made it and he didn't. So he's going to make it to the top with me, and I think that's big. But encouraging people is a big thing, and saying stuff to people, motivating things. We all have another level inside of us. I don't know. I would have never thought I could walk that much, right? But 2 7-year-old days, you just get to a spot in your mind, you just do it. It's foot after foot. You just do a death march, but it teaches you something. We all have so much more inside of us that we can do, and literally, you're doing like a marathon every day, and then you wake up and do another one, and you're hungry, and you're tired, and you do it, but your body can do it, right? I just found out totally that I can do it. I'm not going to ever complain again when the guy at the gym's telling me to do like a few sit-ups. I probably will complain, but... So, I don't always do those leadership things and these qualities we talked about. I know they're in me. I know they're in you guys, and I had to go there and do that. So that was a big thing. And the best part about those qualities, you guys, they're free. It's easy to speak. We talk about all these qualities of being a leader. Like, that's not hard stuff. It's free. Like, you just be nice to people. You use your words. Use your God-given talent. So that's big. One of the biggest things, though, I wanted to get out of this is that you got to lead yourself. you can't lead other people unless you lead yourself. So if I asked again, who in the room's a leader? All your hands go up, right? You gotta lead yourself. You gotta lead yourself, you gotta find time. I had to take a trip to Africa, I needed it. I wanted to come back a better husband, a better father, a better boss. And you gotta invest in yourself, and you gotta lead yourself, and you gotta just, you know, get a little bit of time to yourself, remember what you're doing, and then you can do that for other people. And I think that's really important, and I wanted to talk about it because you don't all have to go climb Kilimanjaro to find yourself. And I would never do it again, so it's gonna be hard for me to recommend it to other people. A lot of people are like, actually Diane Griffin's going to do it, and so she's like bugging me to have coffee. I'm like, do I tell her the truth? Because I know she already paid for it. Oh, you see dead people and this and that. I don't know if I should tell her the truth. Be a good steward of your resources. And resources are not just money, it's talents. If you're good at talking to people, or you're good at encouraging, you're good at giving a comment, you have to do that. You have an obligation to do that. And people need you to do that. Your clients need you to hold your crap together and have composure. Your coworkers need you to encourage them, need you to hold them accountable. And that's how you gotta look at it. If you don't do that stuff, you're robbing other people. So you need to do that for other people. And the biggest thing too is, it's not all the big heroes and the big names. I think there's so many individual leaders, we're all leaders. I hope that in this GRARLA thing, you learn some stuff like that. And I hope some of you give back and volunteer at GRAR. And I really hope that in 5 years I come teach this class again and I ask them to name leaders and someone shouts out one of your names. That'd be awesome. Then I'd know maybe something happened in this room today. So think about what hasn't been done or what you haven't accomplished because you've not fully tapped into your potential yet. I can think of I'm pretty happy with what I've done, but I can think of how much more I could have did or how many more people I could have impacted if I really tapped into that stuff. That's all I got for you. Take from it whatever you'd like. Hopefully one thing stuck with you. Leadership is a privilege, but we're all designed to lead, and every one of us is a leader. Lead yourself first, and then lead other people. You don't have to wait. That fireman was saying, like, don't wait until you have your $1 million or until you own your own brokerage. You aren't promised tomorrow, but don't start right now. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.